Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and this is my third attempt to try to make this video. I don't know what's going on with my GoPros. Both of them are acting strange. My SD cards are acting strange. My batteries are swelling up, and I'm waiting on batteries to come for my GoPros, Hero 7s. So I think they're getting wore out. I hope not, because those are not easy to replace. So, but this is my third attempt to try to do this video, and during the second attempt I realized that maybe one of my ideas was not going to work for this lathe. So we're probably going to end up having to use this stand, because I was thinking about putting it on the bench over there where my bandsaw is. But if I put it on the bench with my bandsaw, then that means that I'm going to have to relocate the bandsaw, because the tailstock would be too high and you wouldn't be able to put any metal in there unless I was to offset it. But it just seems like it's going to be a little bit more work than I want to put in it when I've already got a stand here that works. The reason I wanted to change this stand is because it vibrates to hell and back. So since I'm not going to be able to use it on a bench, then I'm just going to go ahead and use this stand, but I'm going to reinforce some stuff so that there is no vibrations. It'll probably take me 3 or 4 times to turn the lathe on and off to find all the vibrations, but I don't want a vibrating stand. Basically, it vibrates here, here, and here. So we're probably going to redesign this, because I just don't like that. It's all bent all to pieces, and I may just make my own to put on here. But it's just a shady way of making a door. I mean, this was the cheapest way they could have possibly went to make this door. And that belt, let me just take this thing out of there. See, it don't even line up with the keeper because it's bent here. And, you know, that's just flimsy. That's too flimsy for this. It needs to be a tougher cover put over that, and I can do a better job than that. So we can eliminate that vibration. This is pretty much solid. All this is solid. It ain't going to vibrate. It's all welded together and everything, and it's pretty thick metal here. So the only places that's got thin metal is this, this, and this. You know, this is a little thicker, but this part can be reinforced by just putting a bar from here on the underneath here over to the other side, and just put a screw in it right here, and that will keep all that from vibrating. And plus, when I go to put it back together, everything will be nice and clean and flat to each other, and no rust and no looseness. So basically this piece here ties this piece and this piece together, and then the lathe completes it by making a box pattern. So, but we're having a problem with the this thing right here. The bushing's actually moving too, and it's got some play back and forth. It's got a pin drove in it right there, but on the other side it looks like there's a pin that could be there, but it's just a blind hole, as this just goes into the pin, the shaft. So, but I think somebody's got this lined wrong, because I think they got it clocked wrong. So this is supposed to be up against here, up against this screw. So somebody put it on wrong. This shaft should have been turned this way and put in the next hole. So, but this is all seized up. This pin won't come out because it's going into a blind hole on the other side. So the only way to do this is hopefully I can get a drill bit close enough to it to drill that out, and then take a punch and punch this pin up out of there. But once I get it done, my shaft, I'm gonna make a new shaft. My shaft's gonna have a flat spot where I can put a set screw there. See how much movement we have there? And there's a bolt back here behind this that is a 9/16, and it goes through to the outside of this wall. And it's supposed to have a bushing in it that goes in that hole on that pivot point, so that when you tighten the bolt up, it still moves on that bushing. Well, they've got a bolt through it, and it just squeezed it in two. Whoever had it before Dale said he'd never been in here. So ain't none of this no blame on him, I can tell you that. This is somebody else. He wouldn't do that kind of stuff. But you can see the bolt back there, and it had this pin so you couldn't move it. So all this needs to come off, and it all hinges on me getting that off. So what I'm probably going to end up having to do is take a damn sawzall and run down through there and just cut that clear in half, because I'm making a new pin anyway. And then once I get this off, I can take it over to the mill and get that out and thread it on both sides, in fact. But this needs to go over against. I wonder why that won't go any further. Now, I think this shaft is seized inside that bushing right there. Oh, no. No, it ain't seized on the shaft, because I can turn it. Let me see if I can turn it. When I turn it, does this other one turn? Oh, I see what it is. All right, guys, we just learned something, guys. All right, this here is a nut, and it screws onto this part that's a hex head. And now that explains to me why that's a hex. You'd have to have an awful thin wrench to get into that damn thing. All right, so now we're starting to make more sense. But I think this shaft is seized to this one. So let me set you guys up. Let's see if I can't loosen that up far enough that I can get a wrench on it. See, this thing here's pinned also. So they might have this one off. Get a wrench for that. I don't know what size that is. Alright, let's see if we can't drive this pin out. I think I'm going to need my knee to help hold the lever up so I can get a hit on it. And we can get down in here somehow and hold that punch in place while we hit it. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to take the door off. Alright, so now what I'm going to have to do is somehow hold that up while I hit it. Well, I can't hit it because it's not tall enough. Let's see. Am I going to have to make a special punch? Well, I think I found something that might work. This is when you need help. May have to jack that up with something. I wonder. I wonder if this would work. I think I will. I got that'll hold her in place, won't it? It ain't coming out, I don't believe. So I just took a drill bit extension that I made for a special job. And it don't fit it. I can set the set screw on it to tighten it up, but I don't know if that's going to be necessary. So I'm thinking this is a drift pin. Yes, and I have some of those new. So now the question is, will the pulley come off? So we'll try to get in behind it here. I'm going to take that rod out. And that rod just slips in there. Alright, so now let's see if we can get that apart. Well, let's try to press it off. Problem is getting a wrench in there to it. It's bigger than new 1 inch on the inside. And that's even bigger than a 1 inch and an 1/8. And I probably don't have the next one. The next size I got is way too big. So, I don't think I'm getting a new crescent wrench in there. That's a pretty tight place. I might get lucky. Alright, well, for starters, we need to remove this shaft. So when you go to tap on these, man, you don't want to go hog crazy on these. You just want to see if it's going to come off. Alright, right, it's moving, but it's gotten to a point where it's hitting a rust spot on the end of that shaft. So I'm gonna take some sandpaper and put around that. I just got an old piece of sandpaper I just use for all this craziness. And then we'll just take it around that shaft so there's enough sticking out that we can sand it down. Any help we can give it is very welcome. So then we're going to put a little bit of WD-40 around that shaft where we just sanded. And it should pop off a little easier. Well, it gets to a certain point and don't want to go no further. So let's see if there's a burr on that. Don't feel like it. It feels pretty damn smooth to me. Unless it's back in an area where I can't get to. We need this big pry bar. So let's move you over here where you guys can see what I'm doing. So I can get it to come out somewhat. Because if you look down in between here, you'll see that when I hit it, and this side over here is real smooth. It's down to bare metal and beyond. So see how easy that slid? It's sliding on the shaft just fine. It's just getting to a certain point, so let's just work it back and forth. And I got the set screw all the way out. Let me take that set screw a little further. It could be, it's longer than I think. Who knows? It's out pretty good ways. Yeah, it's hitting a burr. It's probably hitting a burr from this thing, this set screw. So we want to get in behind here and pry the opposite direction. You want the bottom to be going out and this going towards the cabinet. Because if you pry this way, you stand a chance of breaking that real thin ear off. You don't want to do that. So then, there we go. So now we got that pulley off. Oh, it's got a keyway in it. That ain't coming out. But anyway, so now we can go ahead and take this out. So I'll get that taken out and then we'll see about still trying to get this out. But we got to move all this stuff out of our way. Alright, so we got that out now. Bearings feel good in it, so I don't think we got any bearing problems. Let's just hope I can get that pulley off. But it's out, so I can put it in the press. Alright, so now we're going to try to get an adjustable wrench on that. And because this shaft is seized to the outer one here, I'm hoping I can use this as a wrench to turn that bolt, because we've already got the pin out. We just need to press it off of there. And I'm thinking if I expand that nut far enough that it will press that off, and it is doing it. Watch that right there. As I'm turning this shaft. Well, now I got to move this spring-loaded thing. God, everything's in its own way. And you know they'd have to put a straight head screw in it. with a 3/8 nut on the back side of it. They really didn't want that to come off, but they didn't put no nuts on the doors. That's how you get that off. That's what I was doing, taking that bracket off. It's in the way. I can't turn the lever any further. All right, let's try this again. Well, I gotta take that one out now. 9/16. Gotta take that stud out of there. And it's got a straight screw in a hex nut. Alright, get my straight screwdriver. I think I need a smaller one. Oh, that thing's bent. It's got a little bend to it. So we'll put that nut back on there. See, that's all it is, just a stud with a... Alright, let's try this again. Which way am I going to go? I need to go this way. Alright, see how it's just pressing it off? Boy, I am so glad that worked like that. Because I was out of options. Alright, that's what that pin looks like. But this is seized in here, and you can see, I'm not even so sure that that is a frickin'... I think this is the pin, and this is the blind hole. But it's seized. I couldn't get anything to punch out of there. I tried to punch at. And it kind of looks like it's got little points on it all the way around it, indicating it has splines. So it's probably a tapered shaft, but it's not going to be when I get done. See, this is supposed to spin on this, and it's not doing it. So we're going to take that over to the vise and see what's going on with this thing. This is turning into a how to remove a jack shaft. Alright, so this is supposed to sandwich the frame, and then this is supposed to turn inside of this, and it's not doing it. So we're going to try to loosen that up. Well, sure would like to get that pin out of there. Why would they drill this just a shade down to make you think there was something in there? Because it looks to me like I'm hitting on this metal. I'm wondering if I can get this thing lined up in the drill far enough to drill that thing straight through. I'll have to make me a mark here where each one's at so I can level this in the mill. But it's obviously not coming, so let's try something else here. I might have to introduce some heat. That's basically a pointless move right there. The only way that that's going to work is if this actually budges. If it doesn't, it's too tight for anything to get in there anyway. So you're not actually putting anything inside the hole. You're actually putting it on the outside and it's just running off. So it's basically a pointless move. And I do it all the time. But in reality, it's a pointless move. So let's put this on here. Next one's going to be the breaker bar with a socket. Probably be a better idea to do that to start with. And the only thing I got that big is my 3/4 inch drive. All right, now pushing this way because this bar is up against this jaw right here. If you push that way, it's just going to round it and it's going to cause it to tear. So we don't want to do that. So we're just going to put that down on there like that. And see if we can get some movement out of it. See, this is what I didn't want to do, but I wasn't thinking. All right, time for a ratchet. It's getting a little looser. So now let's check and see what's actually turning. The whole thing. That means this can probably be drove out. Because that means that pin's not actually in there. Now that's got me puzzled. What the hell's going on there? Well, that thing wasn't even freaking attached with a pin. What the hell? There's not even a hole in there, I don't believe. Let me wire wheel that and see if there's a hole there and it's just sheared off. Well, guys, I'm puzzled here. Alright, so this pin is supposed to turn inside that. But there is actually a pin there that's sheared. So we're going to see if we can't get that out of there now. How the hell did that thing shear like that? Alright. Let's see how I want to do this. Ideal place would be right there so I can drive the pin out. That requires 2 hands or 3 hands. Well, I think it moved. Yeah, it's moving. Yep, it's moving. I would have thought it would have broke that handle before it broke this. But there was just no way to get that thing out of there. So this is going to have to be drilled out. But I'm going to put set screws in this. I'm going to put set screws in it that has the end of it turned down to fit into this hole right here. At least that's the goal. So now we got to clean all this up with a file. We'll just take and file that around, because we don't want no burrs for when we go to drive it out of this bushing. I'm just getting the high sides. I'm not actually taking much off. I'm just taking off the part that's mushroomed. And we'll do this side the same way. Alright, so now we can try to knock this out, and since this side is the one that was boogered up the most, we're going to take that away from the part. This side, it came off pretty nice. So we're just going to separate that right there, and we're going to take the dead blow to start with, just to find out what we're dealing with as far as hardness, or how hard it's going to be to get out. It might just pop right out. If it don't, then we're going to have to take it to the press. Alright, well, let's try a hammer. Now this is tapered, so it ain't going to matter. Alright. I'm going to use my brass one. And there's our shaft. And you got a little bit of rest on it, so we're going to clean that off. Be right back. Alright, so now we need to do the inside of this, and I may have to go in and get my 50 cal wire brush. I got a bunch of those that I ordered for my 50 cal wire brush. Let me get that and we'll be right back. Alright guys, went out there and got my 50 cal brush, and I'm probably going to keep this in the shop now. But we're just going to, and before you say anything, I'm not putting that much pressure on them threads. You need something to help hold it. Boy, that thing's still fitting tight. Alright, so let's get a little more aggressive. Let's teach it whose boss is. I might have to take it over to the lathe. It actually needs a brass bushing. I think what I'm going to do is chuck this up in the lathe. But before I do that, let's do a little bit more filing. Maybe there's some burrs. We're just skimming it. Basically equivalent to scraping it. see, you can feel the burrs hitting. So there is burrs on this thing. Probably wouldn't hurt to do a new pin, but I think these are clocked 2 different directions. Because you can have quarter turn settings depending on how you put the handle and stuff in it. So the way that thing's designed, this thing is designed to go around until it gets to just past center. And then once it gets past center, it's going to try to force its way to back up. So that bolt that goes through it holds that in place. And then when you lift the handle, it pulls it off of it and lifts the belt or the pulley so you can take the belt off. So this wasn't spinning, as you can see. Yeah, I think we're going to take this over to the lathe and, well, wait a minute. I got one more trick up my sleeve. Hold on here. Let me try something else. So we're going to take some sandpaper and just cut us a little piece. Actually, we might just do it this way. So we need something round that we can wrap that around. So now we're going to machine the inside of it with this. So basically this thing is spring loaded right now, so when I go to let off of it, it's going to stretch to the size of that hole. And we're just going to sand it. I don't know why they didn't put a brass bushing in this. Alright, so now we'll wire wheel it one more time. And now let's try it again. Alright, so now we need to do some more filing on the pin. It's a little rough up here at the end. And I'm just skimming it. Alright, now we're good. So now that will move inside of that. Now we'll clean these parts up. Alright, so now we have a working pivot point. So now what we need to do is, I can see what we're going to have to do. You can see where they had that loose for so long that it started eating this right here and mushrooming it. So basically I think I'm going to take it over there and put it in the lathe and just lathe that groove just a little bit longer, and that will get rid of that bad thread. As you can see, that bad thread right there. So we'll get rid of that bad thread. Well, let's look and see how close it fits. And the metal might be thick enough that I might not have to worry about that. Of course, I could put a washer between it. So let's try that. So now, this piece goes on this side. This piece goes on this side. Oh yeah, we don't have to do anything. It's not coming close enough to worry about that bad thread. So then we'll tighten that up, and then this will go in there and it spins. So now we need to figure out, well, we need to check to see if we got this cleaned out. No, that works. All right, so I don't know if it depends on which one was which that was sticking out. This side was the one that was on the outside because it's a little bit more boogered up. So this one was on the inside, but we don't know if that was correct. It could, because they do have each clock. This one's going this way, and I think this one's going a quarter of the way straight through. So it's just Z and X. So then this will go on something like that. So then this goes in, and yes, it's bent. Alright, so then we'll put our nut back on it, and that should be adjusted just right. Alright, so then we got to come in on the inside here. So now I haven't cleaned up the handle yet, but I did clean out the hole just to see. Alright, so that'll fit. So now we're going to have to drill that hole out. But I don't know, maybe I can punch that out. Alright, so I just cleaned up the lever. And I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to use one of these on this side too. They had a solid pin in it, so we're just going to use one of these. So I got to get one of those. Alright guys, I had to do a little bit more work. Got everything cleaned up here. Now we're just going to mock this up for now. I want to do all the work to it to get it right before I paint it. So we're going to mock this up, and I ended up having to redo some bushings. This bushing that goes in here, somebody had a hex nut as a bushing in it, a big old hex nut, and that ain't gonna work. This thing here is designed to have a bushing in it because it's supposed to pivot up and down right like that. So what they did, they stuck a bolt through there and then just stuck a nut in there to fill the hole. They don't understand the purpose of that hole, so they didn't do it right. So probably a good thing Dale didn't mess with this, because he'd probably be more aggravated than I am. Although I'm not in no short supply of aggravation. So I wanted to make one out of brass because this one's got a brass bushing for the shaft. But I couldn't find no brass or bronze to use. So temporarily I'm going to use an aluminum bushing. This is the one that I made for it. So basically you want this here to be up. So that's the orientation it goes in. And we'll have grease on this, and that goes in there like that. Then you got your bolt, and then that will go in there, and it will bottom out on the metal. Now when I go to put this in, the nut will be on this side, not the outside. But for now, I'm just going to put this in and tighten it up. So alright, so now we've got it to where to swivel up and down. Alright, then you have this piece that goes in there that somebody cut a notch in the top of it, and it's not supposed to have a notch in it because you can see they cut almost to the hole there. If they were to cut all the way through, I'd be remaking that. So that screws into this, and I just screw it in until it bottoms out. And it's bottoming out before it reaches outside the other side of this. So we just put that there to where that pole or that rod will go in there like this. So I cleaned all this up, and then we'll put the nut on it. And I pretty much know where I have it set, so I just put it to where the threads are just level with the bottom of this. And then I'll just get that close so it has some flop room. Alright, then I repinned that and got it in its correct orientation. They had it in the wrong orientation. So that, we had to clean that up and put it on the lathe and redo it. This will get grease in it. And the home position is right there. So I drilled this out, knocked all the pins out of it after I finally broke it. And I'm just sticking a punch in there right now just to mimic the pin. It helps if it don't move on me while I'm trying to do it. Alright, so now we've got that to where it's working. And right there's all I'm doing. I just got that pin in there and it's not going to fall out. So this is just for test purposes only. So now we'll take this and put it in its hole. Alright, so now when this goes back, it's supposed to click into place. So I think I'm going in the wrong direction. All right, we're going to put this bolt in temporarily. This one here, that's home right there. That's the furthest it can go, is right there. Alright, so that's why I couldn't get it adjusted. Now we just want that to be to where it just snaps into place. See how it snaps into place? Because what you're doing, you're going beyond center. And then now this is pushing in that direction against this bolt. So I'm going to put a little bit more on it. Alright, so now we got that tight. Now we can tighten this one up. So now, when you raise your lever, you have to loosen that up to raise it. And now it's working. Now the belt tension is what's going to keep that tight. So now I had to take this shaft out and put it in the lathe and mill some stuff off that somebody did wrong. They put the set screw in the wrong location. It's actually got a spot for the set screw, but they had it in the wrong location, and it just got a big burr on it. So now we've got that on there. Now let's put our belt on it. Now I know that it's not going to reach. This pulley needs to come in this way a little bit on the motor, but we're just going to put it on there. See, we need to come up with the motor because that's in its home position. That's in where it's supposed to be tight. If we loosen it to take the belt off, we're really loose. Unless I've got the wrong belt. That's a possibility. I could have the wrong belt. But I do still believe the motor's in the wrong place. Alright, so see, it's still not tightening up. So it needs, actually needs more travel. I'm wondering if could drill that hole down a little bit further down and let that go further. That might tighten it up. But that's not what this video is about. We'll show you all that when we go to put this all back together. Because by then I'll have the motor where it's supposed to be, and I think we're going to use a different motor than that one. This one here is 3/4 horsepower. Yeah, 3/4 horsepower. I'm pretty sure I got a 2 horsepower right here. I'm almost certain it's a 2 horsepower. However, I think it's not. I don't think it's a 110. Oh no, this is only a 1/2 horsepower. Well, that definitely ain't going to be good enough. So maybe we will be using that motor. Yeah, I guess we'll have to use that, but I don't know what the deal is here. Is that sticker being destroyed? Or is that a film on that? I'm scared to take it off, but we got to clean that motor up anyway, so when I go to put this thing back together, I'm going to go into detail on how I put things together and where it's supposed to go. And I'm figuring this stuff out as I go. So this is a video on fixing the jack shaft. So now it's just a matter of me cleaning up the rest of these pulleys and putting them on there. And I got my keyway, which is right there. And I got a lot of bolts to clean up. So now we need to take the motor out because we know that it needs to be readjusted. So it needs to come up higher to make that belt tighter. So hopefully we can just come straight up with it, and that will fix that problem. And then when this goes to lock, it will go past its center. You see where it's going past its center? Right there is center. That's past center. Once it reaches past center, it can't come back this way because the belt tension is going to hold it tight. So, and then all this is just a stop. So, I knew that's how it worked, but for some reason, I couldn't get that pin to drive out. It just would not drive out for nothing. And I tried it in both directions. But I know I was going in the right direction. But anyway, my battery's about ready to go dead for the second time on this video. So I'm probably going to spend my time getting all these parts cleaned up, getting them ready for paint, get them masked. But we'll do that in another video. I still got to get all this stuff off of it, the motor off of this. I got to take this plate off. I'm going to get this down to bare, separate all these pieces, and repaint them all. So, hope y'all got something out of this or learned something. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.